Well, good afternoon, everybody. News 19 meteorologist Corey Smith here. Hope you're having a good Thursday afternoon. So far, we've been seeing some high clouds here across the viewing area, and we're going to talk about at least what's going on today before we really start to move into what we can expect for this weekend, because it does look like there is some impactful weather moving into the viewing area. So let's talk about right now, at least seeing those high clouds. We are expecting a little bit of a mild day downtown Sumter. You can see some of that sunshine working through, and temperatures are getting close to 60 degrees. We're sitting at 53 right now, and we are expecting at least a nice end to the work week. So through tomorrow, some pretty comfortable temperatures sitting in the middle to lower 50s across the viewing area. Winsboro 50 degrees, 54 in Saluda, and 52 in St. Matthews. Of course, as we go forward, things are going to look a little different. So you can see quiet weather today, 60 degrees and a mixture of sun and clouds. But as you head towards the weekend, the chance of some winter weather, and that looks to move in primarily on Sunday. Two things that we know right now: we are not expecting any accumulating snow here across the Midlands. So if that was your hope for what we were going to be seeing, unfortunately not this time around. It looks to be more in the way of a wintry mix, including sleet and freezing rain as we go into late Saturday and Sunday, really through about midday. After that, I think things start to switch over to mostly rain for us. So let's talk about what we know so far, and that's that this is mainly going to be a rain event, whether that's freezing rain or just a chilly rain across the Midlands. And there is the chance of some icy accumulation on surfaces, really just depending on what our surface temperatures are at. And I think the main threat is going to be coming as you go late Saturday night and into Sunday morning. Past that, things start to die down a little bit in the way of impacts. What we don't know is the exact track of the storm, the surface temperatures, which is going to be a pretty important role that we'll talk about here in a second, and then the extent of any ice threat that we see. I really don't think that we see snowflakes at this time across the Midlands, but maybe a couple get in at the beginning of the event in our northern counties, and we'll show maybe where that could sneak in. But let's talk about the setup first. This is Saturday. You see our low pressure out towards the west starting to develop, and that's going to move towards the southeast. Now, before that moves in, we have high pressure towards our north, and we talk about this all the time. The Carolina wedge, cold air damming, whatever you want to call it. It's the wind from the northeast on the front side of this high pressure, bringing in colder air from the northeast. That gets stuck up against the mountains, and this time around it looks like that wedge should contain sub-freezing temperatures. The question is, how far does this build into South Carolina and the Midlands, and how cold are the temperatures within inside this air mass? And then also, how quickly does it erode away during our system? These all have impacts on what we see as we go into this weekend. And the reason why, well, it's going to affect the precipitation type. So we're not expecting snow, so we don't have that cold air from the clouds to the surface, but there is going to be cold air at the surface, which means we could see sleet as well as some freezing rain as we go into late Saturday and Sunday morning. Now, depending on how cold that air is at the surface, well, if it ends up being above freezing, we could be dealing with just plain old rain throughout this event, and there are some models that show that. So we're going to break things down and what we can expect. And let's talk about those surface temperatures, because there are some discrepancies in the models. This is the GFS model, or the American model, and notice for most of the state, we're talking temperatures above freezing. This would result in mostly a rain event for the Midlands with very little in the way of winter weather impacts. Now, quite a difference from our other models, our European model and then our short-range NAM model, showing much colder air in place. So instead of the 40s and 50s, we're sitting around freezing, maybe even some upper 20s in our viewing areas to get around Saturday, or I should say Sunday morning. So if that's the case, more of an icy setup, and that's where we could see some of our bigger impacts. So let's break down what we're seeing with each model and what that would mean for the Midlands. You're going to see this is the European model, so that colder solution, and you're going to notice this is 4 a.m. on Sunday. We're going to put things forward right around 9 to 10 o'clock. You start to see this pink filling in, and by noon across much of the Midlands. This is that wintry mix, including sleet and freezing rain, and that's because our temperatures are below freezing. You can see Columbia sitting at 29. We're in the lower 20s as you head up towards the upstate and towards North Carolina. As you head towards the afternoon and evening, I am expecting a switch over to rain regardless of what we start off the day with. Temperatures do look to get possibly into the lower 40s across the Midlands. If you're in the northern portions, maybe Fairfield as well as Newberry County, you can see at least some colder air sticking around. So that switch over a little bit later on in the day. But overall, not expecting much in the way of any black ice situations behind us, and that's because temperatures are above freezing as you go into your Monday morning. Now that warmer solution we talked about, the GFS, well, that is going to stay bringing the whole time. We don't have those freezing temperatures at the surface, therefore we don't see any winter weather, and that is still a possibility at this point. So I really want to at least get it into your mind that we're really looking at really rain or freezing rain here, not expecting any snow just because of those surface temperatures. And you're going to see the warmer solution here keeps all the snow north of the Midlands. Now, as we take a look at the ice threat, that is also north as well, moving more towards North Carolina because we don't get to freezing here in the Midlands. As for the European, which is the colder solution, I still don't really expect any snow. You can see some of it working into the northern Midlands here, but then the icing threat much larger. And that's where I think we get a little bit of a concern for this situation. If we start to see that setting up, that's where we could see some downed trees and power outages. So what are we thinking right now? Well, it's really, I think, along and north of I-20 that we have that elevated risk for the chance of some icy weather as we go late Saturday night and into Sunday morning. And the thinking of this is at least that colder air is more likely towards the north. Now, does that build further south? Does that include Columbia? That's something we're going to have to see as we go into the next 24 to 48 hours as we get a little bit closer to this event. We're going to see some more model data come in, and I think we'll get a much better situation, or at least a better understanding of this situation as we get a little bit closer. So take a look at the 7-day forecast, what we can expect. I think there's still a lot of questions and a lot of room for change as we go forward towards this event. The next few days are quiet, but late Saturday night and into Sunday morning is our best chance of that icy weather as we head towards the afternoon and evening, switching over to rain before things start to die down as we go into Monday, much colder weather on the way. Now, of course, you can stay up to date with the latest with us through WLTX.com, through social media, and then also through the News 19 weather app. You can download that free on the Google Play and Apple App Store. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been in the comment section asking questions. I have a helper standing by giving us the questions. So what's the latest and what can we answer here?
Well, Corey, most people are upset that they're not going to get a lot of snow, but Jasmine Green is concerned about driving over bridges in this type of weather.
Yeah, and that's definitely a concern as well. So let's move back a little bit here, and you're going to see as we look at the colder solutions, at least those temperatures are below freezing as you go through this event. So at least in the European model here, we're below freezing. We're seeing that sleet or freezing rainfall. And then, of course, bridges and overpasses, well, they're going to be colder than the actual ground surface or the ground roads. So you could get some icing on the roads, and that would at least deteriorate driving conditions for sure across the Midlands, especially the northern Midlands. And that's going to be mainly through Sunday morning through about, I would say, 1 to 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. After that, we do switch over to just plain old rain, and I think by then we'll start to see driving conditions get a little bit better, but if you can stay off the roads this Sunday, that's probably the best bet right now.
There's not much else out there except they're wanting the snow to come.
Yeah, and you know, I'm a snow lover myself. I'm a winter weather weenie, you can call us. But unfortunately, this time around, not looking like a snow event, even for most of North Carolina. It's going to be a very mixed precipitation event outside of the mountains. So really not a great snow setup. Now, the good news is going forward towards the end of the month, we stay on the cold side and we're seeing multiple pushes of Arctic air. So I think there is the possibility that we could see another setup where we could see winter weather moving through the southeast. Of course, we're a little bit far out from that, so if that does change, we're going to let you guys know. But right now, at least, it looks like this freezing rain concern, probably the biggest on our list of things to pay attention to right now, and that especially if you're north of I-20. Any other questions? All right, well, I think we're going to probably end things here. Of course, if you're watching this after the fact, you can still leave those comments, those questions below, and we can definitely keep you up to date on that. And then let me pull up again once more just the social media and the website. You can follow us on there. Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte will be in a little bit later today. He's going to have some more of that model data we were talking about, and that's going to help us really fine-tune things. I think as we get tomorrow into the afternoon hours, at least we can start putting up some maybe those amounts that we could expect as we go a little bit closer to the event and things become a little bit more clear. But that should end everything here. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you tonight on the evening shows.